Thank you and good evening, Mr. Dubey and Dr. Faizan Mustafa and the rest of the speakers. I'll try to be very brief. Within 10 minutes, I shall conclude. Now, the point is that this communal polarization is doing great harm to India. I entirely agree. And I first say, let me make it very clear, since I don't have much time at my disposal, that this communal polarization is a weapon of exploitation. Let us understand it first. That when India was made a secular country, it was part of the vision of the framers to make India a secular country because they wanted to create equal citizenship, equal society. This decision to make India a secular country is part of the decision to make India a democratic country and to make India a welfare country. Now, I don't agree with the suggestion of Dr. Faizan Mustafa that let India become a Hindu Rashtro. I strongly object to this suggestion because if India becomes a Hindu Rashtro, which is the design of some of the persons who are in power now, then India will lose its identity and India will lose its democratic credential. Because what is secularism in the Indian context? Our secularism is not the secularism we think of in the American Constitution as a clear separation between the church and the state. We are, on the other hand, fostering an idea of secularism for having equal respect for all religion. And the Constitution has given power to the state to usher in social reforms in order to get rid of religious superstitions. My time is short at my disposal, but you know, in all cases of entry into temple, especially Hindu temple, the Supreme Court has till now, till the last judgment in the Kerala Sabrimala case, have allowed the entry, contrary to the principle of religious autonomy, because this has been done on the principle of social reform. So this religious bigotry, which has been sounded in 3 judgments of Supreme Court, which have soundly criticized in my book, Hindu Law and the Constitution. The first is that Hindutva judgment, the second is that Manohar Joshi judgment, and the third is the Ismail Farooqi judgment, which is also the case relating to the demolition of Babri Masjid. In the first case, I have said that Indian ethos is a multiple ethos. You cannot equate Indianism with Hinduism. If you do that, then you will completely rob India of its diversity, multicultural and linguistic diversity, which is recognized in the Constitution. And the next judgment, which is given by Justice Verma, all these judgments were given by Justice Verma. Well, learned judge said that the call to build a Hindu Rashtra in Maharashtra, making the Hindu Rashtra for the first time, that was the call given by Manohar Lal Joshi. And he said that call is despicable, but it is not a corrupt practice. I wonder, how can the learned judge say so? If it is a despicable thing, he has said so in his judgment. It is despicable. What is the meaning of the word despicable? Despicable means something which cannot be accepted. Then he said it is despicable, but it's not a corrupt practice. By saying so, he made this Manohar Lal Joshi the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra. And the third judgment is even more curious, where the learned judge has said offering namaz in a mosque is not part of Islam. How can he say that? On what ground? But that was what is said, and that was the majority judgment in Ismail Faruqi. I supported, in my book, I have categorically criticized this. And when this present judgment came on the Babri Masjid demolition, I said it is a strange judgment. Because what are you doing? You are giving legitimacy to the demolition of a mosque. It has been established that there was no Hindu shrine under the mosque. There may be some shrines, but it's not a Hindu shrine. And the mosque was standing for all these years, for over 500 years, for a Muslim to see. It is his right under Article 26 to preserve it, to administer it. That right is a fundamental right, only subject to public law, public order, morality, and health. Nobody can say that maintaining a mosque is opposed to public law, morality, and health. You'll be surprised to know that in the recent judgment, Constitution Bench judgment of Supreme Court, there is no discussion on Article 26. It's an atrocious judgment. I have spoken against it in various places. It's a judgment which you find it very difficult to swallow. So the Indian Constitution, the secularism that we are thinking of, that the secularism which has been provided is what is known as ameliorative secularism. It is for the benefit of the society. It's for the benefit of the country. It is coming out of the spirit of India. You cannot demand a Hindu Rashtra and then say it is India. Because India is a secular country, not even before the Constitution. Secularism was inherent in India. Not only if you see the majorities are Hindus, they have the highest regard. You cannot be a Hindu unless you are tolerant. They have the highest regard for the faith, religious faith of every one person around them. And Muslims, there is no question of Muslims living the country. They are very much part of the country as a Hindu. I have said repeatedly that this method of secular polarization is a weapon of oppression. It's a weapon of oppression. This is the same way how the Britishers divided and misruled us. And it is the same way how the present rulers are trying to divide India and try to giving us a sense of false security, a sense of false happiness. When I find that a person for eating a particular flesh is beaten up. Why? He's beaten up and sometimes he's beaten to death and there's hardly any redress. When a person for marrying out of love, another girl, young couples are getting married out of love and affection and respect for each other. Where does religion come in? Religion is the last resort. You see, normally poor people do not have the luxury of religion. The religion is mostly, the religious device is mostly the benefit given to the rich and the affluent. We'll always find that throughout history, the clergy has been a close associate of the monarchy. The same thing here. You see the same thing here, but that has to change. And that was changed under the Constitution. We cannot reverse it. After 70 years of our independence, after this maturing of democracy, we cannot reverse it. We should not reverse it. We should resist all attempts to reverse it. We have to protect. We have to, as a judge, I have taken the oath to abide by and to uphold the Constitution. Even every individual, every human being, every citizen has to take that oath to uphold the Constitution. And the Constitution means a secular constitution. a socialist constitution. Secularism cannot exist if there is no socialism, there is no democracy. These three concepts, secularism, socialism, and democracy, are intertwined. One cannot exist without the other. Therefore, secularism, if you want to reverse the secular tendencies, you are also going to injure the other two features of the Constitution, namely democracy and socialism. We have to uphold our Constitution. We have to uphold our secular credentials. We have to uphold our democratic credentials. And we must live in a country which is a socialist, democratic republic. That's my view. I think I concluded on this note, and let us take this pledge on the eve of Republic Day. Thank you for giving me a chance for sharing my views. Thank you very much.